Logan, welcome back. How you doing, brother?
Oh, hey. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
I was in a chat earlier. Mo said that you make the show worse, so I just thought I would put that out there in case any kind of rivalry can develop from that, any kind of violence in the
Probably not.
chat.
I mean, he's right.
Mm. So welcome to G&G. It is episode 9. We are joined this week by the incomparable Aardvark. Aardvark, welcome to our humble little
I've
program.
never been called incomparable before. I love it.
I've just seen you everywhere, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's great to finally get a chance to talk to you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I've been trying. Well, I'm CG, so I've been trying to get in as many chats as I can, get talking to people, get to know everyone. And obviously, you've got to get my book. Get my book out there.
Can you give us like a kind of brief introduction? Who you are, how you came to the scene, how you came to the prospect of making your own books?
Yeah. So I've always wanted to be a writer ever since I was a little kid. I've always been enamored with superheroes and comic books and just fiction in general. But when I was growing up, I was where I lived, there wasn't really much in the way of comic books or comic book stores or anything like that. So I kind of revered whatever comic books I was given, and it wasn't until around 2017 where I kind of realized that a lot of the things that I love, which are writing and the type of films and movies and games and books that I enjoyed, I could bring as a comic book. And so around 2017, I started putting together the initial stages of my book Aquila, and then but life happened, so things kept on getting in the way. I could never get around to getting it drawn or anything else. And in the last 12 months or so, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to live forever. I'm just going to go out there and try and get
yeah, like that Bon Jovi song. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not a big Bon Jovi fan.
Nobody
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Real quick, let's I forgot to say hello to the chat because I'm a piece of human garbage. We got B Rose in here, who is primero.
What is that? Primero? Is that like talking like some sort of Mexican?
I think it's a tomato sauce, actually. We have Aardvark, who's able to be in 2 places at once. We have Neff. Welcome. I've been checking out a lot of Neff streams lately. If you want to get into streaming and do it better than we do, he has a good kind of a roadmap to see just how it's done. Awesome channel. Always recommend it. We got Frog G here. Yes, tickle that algorithm. We got Aldous. Wow. We got Neff in the chat. Mo is always right. Scrolling down. Who else do we have here? Felix Haas, who I am told is some kind of master of links. Hail to you, my brother. And yeah, so you talked a little bit about wanting to be a storyteller. Was there anything in particular that kind of drew you to the medium or the form? Or I guess more specifically, was it just comics, or was it a mix of different mediums?
It was a mix of everything, really. It was when I decided that comic books were the best way to convey the type of stories that I wanted to tell, that I kind of started delving deeper into the craft of it, and what I learned very quickly was that it's not like writing a regular story. There's all kinds of new things to consider, and I found that really exciting and interesting. And so I started trying to refine my craft, and I don't want to kind of toot my own horn, but I took to it very quickly, and Kimasabe will attest to that. He was there right from the beginning. He saw my first ever comic scripts. I took to it very, very quickly, and I really enjoyed doing it. And now I prefer it. I think it's my preferred writing over prose or, scripting for a TV show or something like I've tried before. I think I can do a comic script really, really well, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, one of the things I found kind of challenging when I started going from just writing traditional prose and poetry to comic script
Mm-hmm.
is how it's like there really isn't a set formula, because my mind kind of gravitates in that direction, that if you were to look up like what's the normal format for a comic book script, there's nothing. There's no blueprint. Everybody just kind of does it their own way and wings it, which I found to be a little bit challenging. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, so I downloaded a script writing tool called CeltX, CELTX. It was free at the time. Now it's you've got to pay a premium for it, I think. But that was the first thing I used to write comic scripts. So I used that, and it kind of did it all for me. And then when you generate it as a PDF, it splits the page into two. One half is dialogue, and then the other half is instructions. You know, that's just how I do it now, because that's the first thing I was given. But the great thing about Celtex is that I can switch it into a more traditional style as well if I wanted, if the artists preferred it that way.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, so Aquila,
I don't know why I think it's funny that JP used to write poetry. I don't know. I find that kind of funny.
I write haikus every day.
Okay, we can't go down that road, because if we go down that road, I can talk about different forms of poetry. Aardvark can as well, and nobody's going to tune into that. So why don't we stay on topic? Aquila of the Phoenix Guard. Now, is this a manga?
It's
Don't fuck with me! I have the power of God and anime on my side!
Wait,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's drawn by an artist who is the artists they come from a studio in Vietnam, and they tend to do mangas, and they tend to do in China it's called a manhua, in Korean it's called a manhua as well.
Oh, I thought it was a manga in Korean.
In Japanese it's manga. But I don't know what it is in Vietnamese, but they specialize in that kind of art form. But they don't. My book isn't done in the traditional manga style of right to left. It's done in the traditional Western style. And when I put it together, I approached them. I knew they were manga specialists, but I approached them and I said, "Would you be interested in working in a Western comic, doing things the traditional Western way, and infusing some of your own flavor into what I imagined, which was a traditional sort of Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon Dander, retro science fiction comic book."
Is this the one that Dean was coloring the other night?
Yeah, that's the one Dean's working on. So
Nice.
that's when it was just black and white. Yeah, he penciled, inked, and now he's coloring it all by himself.
Damn.
Yeah. And that'll be done soon. That'll be done. He's making progress on that. That'll be done by I don't know when. I'm not going to give him a time date, but soon.
Get on that, Dean.
Yeah, Dean, seriously, hurry up, dude.
So
Yeah.
when are you launching?
We haven't got a set date yet. I'm praying for some time after Easter, but I'm not going to make any promises. But we should be looking at within the next couple of months.
Nice.
We're following the CG guide of once you get to triple figures, then reconsider your date. Right now, we're sitting on 65 signups, which is comfortable. But I'd like, obviously, I would like, I'd like more.
I should sign up for the newsletter, because I think this is gonna be one of the few books that even I buy.
Oh wow!
Sure.
Even Logan will buy it.
Well, thank you for your thank you for that, Logan.
So it's just gonna be the two covers, right?
Yep. We're gonna have there's gonna be other stuff included in it, but yeah, there's gonna be two covers, and they're gonna be two different books, slightly, but it's not gonna be a different story. It's just that one of them is going to have some additional pages, like behind the scenes, about the creation of the character and stuff like that.
Very cool.
Okay, I just signed up for the newsletter.
Oh, fantastic! So now I've got 66.
There it is.
Yeah.
Hoping to be a 69th, but that's okay.
So, okay, really quick. This is something I meant to open the show with, but we'll come back to Aquila in just a second, but I wanted to ask both of you guys this question. Have you ever like rewatched a viral video that you haven't seen in years, and you watch it and you feel like just sucked back into the moment that you first saw it?
I can't think of an example of a video like that for me, but I feel like I've had that, yes.
Okay, so if I say, are you guys into fighting games at all?
Kinda.
No, not really.
Okay, so if I say Evo moment number 37, do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
No, I don't.
Okay, so this is pre-YouTube, all right? This has nothing to do with Aquila's book, by the way. I'm just going off in a completely different tangent. But I watched
That
this video
explains it,
last night.
pre-YouTube.
I haven't seen it in like 5 years. And just to set up this video, in fighting games, there's something called a parry, where you know how in a fighting game, if you get hit and you're blocking, you take like a little bit of damage. If you parry, you don't take any damage, but it takes it's like a single frame. It has to be like frame perfect for you to be able to do it. So this is an event that happened at Evo, which is like a fighting tournament all the way back. This is like 20 years ago. Okay. And so Chun-Li is fighting Ryu, and Chun-Li goes to do a 17-hit combo. And if the opponent gets hit, even if he's blocking one time, it's over. Okay. Nobody at the time even knew that a 17 parry combo in a row could even be done. So what I'm about to show you is a room full of people that just explodes because they're seeing something, and even though they're huge fans, they had no idea that this was possible. And it's one of those rare moments where like something perfect just gets captured on film, and it's just electric.
Rare footage of Daigo actually angry. Just as turtle style, overcome Rao, now on the verge of putting Daigo down 1-0.
Goosebumps. That video gives me goosebumps.
Yeah,
Really?
I've always wanted to be that person in a video game who's just ridiculously good to the point where it's like almost they're just too good. But that's never been me. I'm just jealous of that guy.
Oh damn! I was in the brand tab. I missed the chat blowing up with people talking about Dude, that was just such an electric moment, and I just completely steered the conversation towards what I wanted to talk about. But Aardvark.
I'm gonna segue. Look
Do
at
you have a
that!
segue?
Look at that panel on the screen right now of Aquila kicking the crocodile guy in the face. Now that looks like it comes straight out of a fighting game.
There you go. So, have you done any kind of? You've been around a lot of chats lately. Have you done a lot in terms of kind of preparing yourself for the rigors of running a campaign? Are you nervous? Do you have any questions?
I've got people holding my hand.
Okay.
And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So,
I thought you were gonna be like, no, JP, can you give me some advice? He'd be like, no, I don't have any. I was just asking.
No, I'm terrible at this. No, because like one of the common things I've seen this weekend is a lot of people whose campaigns haven't gone the way they'd hoped are having that kind of just like venting frustration, spilling, their spaghetti all over the internet about how things just didn't go how they thought it would be. And it's like, it's tough, man. It's tough because it's something that is deeply personal,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't meet your expectations, everybody knows it, everybody can see it, and it's tough. And a lot of people just aren't equipped really to handle it. And Aardvark, you had said that you've been writing, doing all these kinds of things, so this might be like new to
Yeah.
you. It might be old hat for you, like getting rejections and not getting published, but like for a lot of these creators, man, it's tough. Like it's a tough racket.
Yeah, I have a lot of sympathy for people who find themselves in those kind of situations, and obviously I don't want to go into launching and have the wrong frame of mind. I don't want to. I like to have small and attainable goals. I like to have small and realistic goals. I don't expect Aquila's going to be Cyberfrog, and so I went into this with that, knowing that accordingly. So I didn't bet, I didn't bet my farm on this book. I didn't put too much that I can't lose into the book. I didn't make a big gamble, That's not to say that the book isn't good and that I haven't put a lot of work into it and that my heart and soul hasn't gone into making this the ideal book. But I've tried my best to take the measures so that in the event of a situation like that, which I doubt is going to happen because I've got an awesome book, I've got an awesome team, and I've got awesome people supporting me. But I've taken the measures in advance to make sure that doesn't impact me too heavily.
I wish I had that logic that you have. You're like I like to have grounded and realistic goals. I wish I feel like I always aim too high. I feel like I'm gonna be one of those people that he's talking about, JP, that are like on the internet talking about how they shot too high and didn't get anything in return.
Well, we've always had this in the human psyche. That's what Icarus is, right?
Yeah.
And it's always important to remember that these stories were written for a purpose, and as writers and as creators, we've got to kind of take heed of them more than anybody else. And I'm not like I said, I don't expect EVS success. I don't expect John Malin success, your boy Zach success. I want to surprise everybody with a really great book, and if it starts off slow, then I'm still not going to give up for the next book.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I think the failure is basically inevitable.
Yeah.
It's how you handle it, how you manage it, and how you come back stronger. That is what makes an artist, makes a creator.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this says number 1. Is it an ongoing kind of a series, or is it a series that you kind of have an entire arc mapped out?
I have got I've got a lot of stories kind of in my back pocket regarding this character. It was designed to be very, very episodic monster of the week. I'm not I understand that comics, the way that crowdfunding comics is that we don't have the resources to have a book out every month of the same series or a book out every week of the same series. So I like to have my stories to be opened and closed in one book. That's not to say that there aren't things that happen in the early books that don't influence books later on in the future. But primarily, this is Aquila fighting some villains. In the next book, it'll be different villains. In the next book after that, it'll be different villains. Like I said, there are things down the road that I have mapped out, but I've got to be realistic. There might be some characters that people really take to, and there might be some characters that people don't like. And if I've already planned out that a bad guy that people think is really lame has a really important role in a future book, then that changes things, Yeah, so it's yes and no is the answer to your question.
Okay, so as a writer, this is something I always find really interesting. what would you say your biggest strength is as a writer? Something that you feel like you're able to do, that you're especially proud of? And what is your biggest writing insecurity? What's something that you always have an eye out for because maybe you're not as good at it as you'd like to be?
So for my biggest strength, it's opening and closing. Particularly with comics, the medium doesn't allow me room to get into some great big waffling epic narrative. I am restricted in the sense that I've only got 22 pages to open and close a story.
So no
And-
Gilgamesh.
No, don't expect Tolkien. That's not to say, it's not to say that it's not a great book and there's not fantastic adventures or anything like that in it. But I like to open and close my books, open and close my stories in one book, and I think the method that I've devised in order to do that is really a boon to me. With regards to my insecurities, this will be the first time that anything I've ever written or published is going to be seen by the wider world. And Neil Gaiman, for all of his faults, he did A Broken Clock is Right Twice a Day. And in his masterclass, which I never watched, but I did see the trailer for it, he said that releasing a work of fiction out into the world is like stepping into the middle of Times Square with no clothes on. You're showing everybody like the parts of yourself that you don't want people to see, but you've got to do it. And that's kind of how I feel. But I think I'm confident enough in my writing ability and in my skills and in my book and in my team that those kind of concerns are mitigated. I think I've got a really good book here. I've got a really good story, and I've got a really cool character, and there's infinite amounts of potential with where this universe can go.
Yeah. Can I answer the latter part of that question? Just if I can get your guys' advice on how to do that better. I would say that my biggest insecurity, I think what I'm going to be maybe the weakest at is character arcs. I always find it hard to do. I don't know if you guys have any like advice on how to do character arcs better. I always feel like you want like that emotional weight and kind of like resolution to a character's story or one of their arcs, and I feel like I'm just really bad at doing that kind of more realistic emotional writing for character arcs.
I would say my kind of cheat for that would be to, as best you can, avoid a character saying why they do anything and just let their actions speak for their motivations and let those motivations speak to them as a character.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. When it comes to characters, you've always got to kind of you got to make them empathetic, and you do that by relating them to your own experiences. And I think if you can, even if it's in some like wacky kind of strange universe, if you can tether that to some real life experience that you had in any kind of mediocre way, you will start to realize the beats, and the story will write itself.
Yeah, I always find it hard to kind of pace stuff. Like if you want a character to start off as like, the altruistic, flawless hero, and you want them to, by the end of the story, to be like more of a dictator kind of villainous character, I always found it hard to kind of pace that. How much to change at like which part of the story, and like just kind of,
Well, as a
overall just
black
pacing.
man from the 1920s, I can tell you that personal experience is very important.
Yeah.
Kimasabi says, knowing how you want it to end and plan the hell out of it. Do beats for it like you do for a plot or story, because it is a plot in itself. That's very true. There's a
Do
plot and
beats
there's
for
a
it?
character plot.
Like beatbox for it?
Yeah, beatbox. Yeah, basically. Aardvark, I have a question, and I don't know if this is going to absolutely melt your brain, but this gold gentleman here on the left,
Mm-hmm.
Is he rolling his eyes?
No, that's just the way that it was shaded.
Okay.
Those
looks-
eyes are meant to be. That helmet is meant to have glowing eyes, and now
Okay.
I've seen that. I can't.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant
can't
by destroying your
unsee it.
brain. It looks like his mom just picked him up at the mall, and he's like, "Oh,
Mom,
Uh-huh.
you're embarrassing.
grown zone."
Yeah.
Son.
I might have to.
I'm
look
so
into
sorry.
it
I didn't
now.
mean to do. I really didn't mean to do that.
It's fine.
I think you told me the other day there's like multiple of these space cops, right? You should have one that's just really sassy like that. Just always annoyed with others.
Maybe I already do.
Looking forward.
Oh, fuck!
I had to play that clip because every time you say space cop, I think of Red Letter Media, and that's a clip from Red Letter Media.
Yeah, that's what he is. He is a space cop. And I tried very hard to make that be the case. You know, I really want, because people say like the Green Lantern and Nova are space cops. Did they give people speeding tickets?
Yeah.
You know, do they like give people, like, did they pull people over for having an expired license plate? You know, like, so I kind of really wanted like the space policeman vibe, and I think it comes through. I think the armor kind of gives that off as well, and the you know, all the sort of extra apparatus and stuff that you're going to see in the book. You're gonna see immediately that it's a cop story.
Alva
Yeah.
says, in this space, it'd be a treat to see some nicely blended character arcs within the context of the plot. And Mo said, I'm not reading all that. Come on, get out of here. Jeez, man, you're writing a novel in my chat. Does he know that not every policeman is part of the highway patrol?
Well, read the book and you will see
There it is.
that I do know. I do know
If
that.
you
Yeah.
join the mailing list right now, Aardvark will send you an email talking in detail about his knowledge of the highway patrol.
Yeah, Mo, put your money where your mouth is. Go sign up for the newsletter.
Put your mouth where your money is. Come on.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm really
Mo would
excited.
have an allergic reaction to my book.
I'm really excited. Love getting the new blood in here because it makes me feel like I know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the time, no offense, but a lot of new creators, you can kind of see like how unrefined their skills are. I feel like looking at this, I'm already excited for it. Like when you came onto my channel and talked about it, like I just knew that I was going to buy it. Like I love the look of the character designs and the overall plot that you said.
Thanks, man.
I feel like it's kind of rare to see someone new with like this much promise come in.
You know what I like? I like this right here. Editors. 2 of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is good.
Well, like Lee Kimasabe, he like I've said countless times, I owe everything to him right now because he was the guy that kicked me up the arse and told me to get involved. And he was the one. I had this like drought of writing because I had I was in a I was so I got some very, very bad criticism that kind of put me off writing for a few years, and it wasn't until I, you know, dabbled my feet in it again, and through whatever circumstances I got to know Lee Kimasabi, and I sent him some of my work, and he was just like, he was so I got so much praise, and like it wasn't blind praise either. It wasn't like blowing smoke, you know. It was constructive, it was supportive, and it really gave me a lot of confidence again. And you know, like I said, it was constructive criticism and it was constructive feedback. And so I kind of, you know, I worked with him he worked as an editor effectively on my book. Odin, he worked on more of it on the kind of art side of it. You know, he told me where some panels could be improved or what could be altered and stuff like that. So it was good to having two editors because they both came at the book with two different perspectives, you know. Yeah, so it's I'm really glad that I've got such a great team working with me on this.
Yeah, so I got lucky in that regard because as far as like getting constructive feedback, what I went through was like the equivalent of like a PTSD-addled soldier,
Mhm.
like some real Vietnam kind of shit. Because I did a creative writing program at the University of Oregon that involved writing things and getting feedback from like 20 perpetually offended, blue-haired, like the whole gambit, like whatever
Yeah.
stereotype you could possibly imagine. That's who I had reading my work and giving me feedback. And
Mhm.
I'm talking about people who like get offended by everything. Like, and
Yeah.
so when I came out of that, it was like I had just gone through, like I was on like Navy, I was a Navy SEAL when I came out of that. It was like nothing, there's nothing you can tell me that I haven't heard before. I got people telling me that like, oh, you shouldn't be writing this, or this is, have you considered, or it's just like, get the fuck out of here. And so being able to filter like the horse shit from like the helpful shit,
Mhm.
I'm like immune to that by now.
Yeah, there is shock therapy is a thing, you know? Like it is and I'm not talking about, the Mike Pence kind of side. And what I mean is like there is something to be had of when you're put in such a horrible, uncomfortable, like scary, frightening situation that when you're in genuine shock that that psychiatrists have written that there is a window there in which the personality can be manipulated. And that it's a very narrow window. And I think you've got to be very careful not to allow other people to take advantage of that window. And you've got to take mastery of it. And you've got to recognize that you're going through a kind of traumatic experience. You're going through a difficult experience, but you're still in control,
Yeah, it's also important to remember that like an editor is never always right.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to kind of learn to have that filter of like maybe they give you some kind of feedback and maybe you make a change where it's not so much like I need to remove this or maybe you just need to like clean things up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Offer a little bit more perspective, make your ideas clearer in the writing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you get notes back from an editor, it's never as simple as just like you need to listen to it verbatim,
Yeah. I'm lucky that because chemo, he, he has a lot of faith in me, so his kind of criticisms never really, it's never like harsh, it's never brutal or because it doesn't need to be, and I think he gets that. He gets that really well. He's a really great editor, and you should all, if you are working on a book, you should consider hiring him as an editor.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that. Like basically the whole edit, like the reason why the editor is being hired is to be honest. I've never really thought about the fact that like it's very important to make sure that the relationship that you have with your editor is one that is kind of mutually honest. Like you have to not be afraid, mutually sexual. You have to be unafraid to tell them honestly what you think about their feedback
and use violence. If it comes to that.
Exactly.
Okay, Mubig says, so essentially you're telling us that the reason B-Rose became evil was due to the machinations of Phoenix. Yes. Phoenix, have you seen him? He has like slicked back dark hair. Like he looks like a villain.
Isn't he? He's ginger too. I mean, that's not trustworthy.
Is he ginger?
I disavow all anti-ginger comments.
Well, my mom was a ginger, so I didn't mean it.
Yeah, keyword was. I don't know what I meant by that.
That's not to say that I'm ginger.
That sounded like a veiled threat.
Just to clear the air, I'm not ginger. I just disavow any.
Well, now that you said that, we feel like you are ginger, and you just don't want to admit it because we said that ginger's not trustworthy.
I could send you a photograph of my hair if that would put your mind at ease.
Well, we would need today's newspaper in the background, and that seems like a lot.
Well,
I'm not a
I'm
ginger
not going
either,
out to buy a
but-
newspaper this time of night.
I do love ginger.
Right?
Look at my poke bowl. Okay, so let us get into the seminal discussion for the day. Our top 5 favorite Star Wars movies. Okay, it's a hot topic.
Yes.
Speaking of dyed hair, it's a hot topic. Aardvark, what is your 5th favorite Star Wars movie of all time?
Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, all right. Any particular reason or?
So the reason why it doesn't rank as high as a lot of other people put it, I think the dialogue is really clunky. It's really clunky, and it's particularly badly clunky. And it's so bad that Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor can't make it good. And but the reason why it's better than the sequel trilogy is because it's not the sequel trilogy, and it's better than Attack of the Clones, which is a bit of a mess.
Yeah, so mine's Revenge of the Sith as well. I just think that, the dialogue was really clunky, and
in my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
yeah, I mean, come on, man.
In the middle of a blood feud grudge match, in my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Yeah, plus Natalie
Game
Portman.
theory. Jedi are actually evil.
Yeah, I don't know. Logan, what do you have for your 5th favorite Star Wars movie?
So you guys might have to correct me on the titles. It's been a while since I don't know a lot of the titles. But I think my 5th favorite is Star Wars Violence of the Replicants. I think that's my favorite one. I could have the title wrong, but yeah, there's like a bunch of replicants committing violence. I thought that was pretty cool. So it was pretty good.
What trilogy was that a part of? Do you know?
I think that was one of the prequels. Violence of the Replicants. I'm pretty sure.
I see what you're doing here. You've renamed the titles.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the name
Attack
of
of the
one.
Clones.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I am a diehard Star Wars fan, but I might be getting some of these titles wrong,
I think, yeah, you might be. Yeah. Although that sounds like it could be a good book unto itself.
Violence of the Replicants.
I think you should write that.
Or a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah,
That
that
was
too.
just like that.
All right. Aardvark, what is your 4th favorite Star Wars movie of all time?
The Phantom Menace.
I
think I like one of the reasons why I like the Phantom Menace is because, I mean, I don't like it. It's sort of like the best of a bad bunch. The reason why I like the Phantom Menace is because I was very, very young and impressionable when I first saw it, and so
a lot of good stories start out that way.
Yeah, and it was like Liam Neeson's a great actor. He tried to do his best out of a not the most wonderful script, but I loved Naboo. I loved the scenery of Naboo. I loved seeing Coruscant for the first time. Like, you got to put yourself in the shoes of an 8-year-old who's never seen anything like this before. And
was Coruscant one of the species of birds that was featured in that movie, or what was that?
Sorry, what?
Coruscant, that was like one of the species of like birds featured in the movies,
that
right?
was the big city planet. That was the big capital city, which is an entire city was one whole planet.
I was close.
Yeah,
you were close.
Yeah, but I had never seen anything like that, and so I fell in love instantly with that film. Getting older and learning storytelling and stuff like that obviously changed my opinion on it substantially, but I still have a little soft spot in my heart for the underwater city and all these amazing kind of landscapes and planets that you got to see in that movie.
Cool. So I think for my 4th favorite of all time, I have The Force Awakens.
Aardvark just leaves.
Sorry, did you say The Force Awakens?
Yeah, The Force Awakens.
Oh, okay.
It just, it was the one that had, the pacing was, really good. The acting was really good. It had that guy. That was the first one that had that guy in it. Yeah, so that's probably my fourth favorite. Logan, what's your fourth favorite?
I think Aardvark got the name wrong because right here I actually have it written down as Star Wars: The Naughty Ghost. That's my fourth one.
The Naughty Ghost?
Yeah, you said the Phantom Menace, but I'm pretty sure it was The Naughty Ghost.
I think that might have been a movie. Like, did you get this at the video store in the section behind the curtain?
Yeah, I mean, how I watched it, yeah, I did get it from like kind of a shady place. It was a person in the alleyway.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And did it move you in a very special way?
Yeah, it did. I really liked Mark Hamill's performance as Jar Jar Binks.
Aardvark, what is your third favorite Star Wars movie of all time?
A New Hope. Episode 4, A New Hope. I'm
pretty sure Mo's about to just dip out. Here's my 5 and I'm out.
Yeah. Well, A New Hope for me because narratively it's the best. It's one of the best. It follows the hero's journey beat by beat. And it's the one that started it all. It's where all the genius comes from, and it's George Lucas when he's not like it's when he's all the ideas are kind of fresh in his mind, and they're still taking place, and there's still you can see that he's got the outline of a wider world kind of there, but it's not the picture's not fully painted, and you see that in you see that in the movie, and it's at the same time he's very restrained with his budget and with his with what he's allowed to do by the studio. So it's all very raw and it's all very fresh and it's all very kind of realistic in that sense that not everything's all shiny and glossy, and that's where it all starts.
Nice. For my third, I have Attack of the Clones. Just
Violence of the Replicants, you mean?
What's that?
You mean Violence of the Replicants. I mean, you guys are getting the titles all wrong here.
I mean, Logan, I think you might actually be buying like bootleg movies. Like that's kind of my theory right now. Like how it's like a translation of a translation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've already talked about it. But Attack the Clones. Stealing Solo should have been pitched as Fanboys Meet Swimming with Sharks, but shit. There it is.
Yeah, I agree.
What makes you rank Attack of the Clones so high?
I just thought it was like a much, it was a tighter script. A lot of good action set pieces.
Compelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Logan, what's your third favorite?
Yeah, I think I'm starting to see what's happening here. That all of my copies do have "Made in Cambodia" on them, because mine says Star Wars: A New Optimism. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that did a good job of establishing the universe. I think that was the first film, right? In the whole entire franchise, I think. That's kind of the only thing that I wrote about it actually is that it's the first film. In Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume it starts with a new, so.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say compelling again. I've definitely watched it. Yeah, no words come to mind right now except for compelling. I've definitely watched it though.
Definitely compelling. Was Tron Legacy Star Wars? I like that one. Yeah. I mean, definitely compelling. Yeah, absolutely. Aardvark, what is your second favorite Star Wars movie of all time?
The Empire Strikes Back.
Vampire Strikes Back, definitely.
The Empire Strikes Back.
The Empire. I knew that. I knew that.
Darth Dracula.
Yeah. Of the original trilogy, Empire was actually the one I saw last. So I never. It was actually the only one I never got to see in the theaters either. So.
Well, you're going to be really surprised when you find out what the last one that I saw was. I mean, it's going to
Okay.
be, yeah. So for my number 2, I have The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Okay. You're just not a fan of the Disney ones.
I mean, you know, it
No,
was
not
the
really.
last one. It was really compelling.
Compelling.
Compelling, absolutely. Yeah, you know, just a real big fan. I think it's really when they found their groove, you know. Logan, what's your second favorite?
I also got this one from the alleyway. I'm not sure if it's a video game or a movie. It just says Star Wars Paladins of the Ancient Democracy.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it might be a video game, but I liked it. The gameplay was compelling.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was definitely compelling. I think it was on the Sega Master System and definitely
Nintendo Genesis, yeah.
Yeah, Moses, I think we can all agree The Last Jedi was number. Hey, you know what? It's a controversial pick, but it's my second favorite. You know, I'm just very nostalgic for the first time I saw it, and yeah.
Have you got the right title?
Yeah. No, I googled it. I looked it up.
Okay.
All right, Aardvark, what is your favorite Star Wars movie of all time?
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. That is also mine.
Yeah. My dad thought that was the second one. So when the special editions came out, we went to the movie theater and I saw A New Hope, obviously, and then the next one that I saw, because my dad thought Return of the Jedi was the second movie, I saw Return of the Jedi, so I missed all of the important story bits. I missed the obviously the big twist. You know, I missed that bit. I missed the training with Yoda. I missed the Hoth scene. I missed the romance between Han Solo and Princess Leia. I missed Han Solo getting put into carbonite. I just missed like all the important stuff that you're supposed to know about when you start seeing Return of a Jedi. And so Return of a Jedi was the one that I saw second, and that's when he had the green lightsaber. And when you're a 7-year-old, you know, that's really cool. And the fight scenes were a lot more intense in Return of the Jedi than they were in A New Hope. And yeah, so I've kind of got like a little soft spot for that movie, simply because when I went into it, I didn't fully know what I was watching.
Aardvark, I have to come clean, and I'm not BSing around. I have to, you know, let the cat out of the bag. I've never seen a single Star Wars movie.
Right. I thought something like that was going on.
I just thought it would be funny to see how far I could fake my way through it. But yeah, I grew up in a Star Trek household. I've never seen a Star Wars movie.
Well, you said that The Last Jedi was the last one. And so
yeah.
I thought, something's going on here.
It was the last one that had Jedis.
Yeah, it had Jedis. I mean, what's not to like?
So what was the purpose of this top 10 list, of this top 5 list? You gave me 3 choices, and one of them was this, and I said any will do.
Because it was stupid, and I kind of like. I want to have a show that's like kind of bad. I'm pretty much okay with that. And the other choice that you chose was soundtracks, and I just didn't think that would make for a good show. What? It wouldn't.
I would too.
Okay.
The disembodied voice agrees with me.
Yeah, I also have my last pick. I was a fan of this movie, except for there's like kind of a weird like Anakin redesign. He kind of like pointy ears and like a bowl cut. But my number one pick is Star Trek: The Motion Picture from 1979.
Logan, I have to ask, have you actually watched any of the Star Wars movies?
No, I watched. What was the very, very last one? Was that Rogue One? Like the newest one where like Palpatine like gets killed finally and like Kylo Ren dies. I watched that one in theaters and I did not really like it.
So why
And then I
haven't
just didn't
any of
watch
you
anything
watched?
else.
Don't you think you should watch Star Wars?
No,
Why not?
because the serious answer to that question is that I grew up in a Star Trek household. I became an adult, and I realized that I could tell you the entire original trilogy from start to finish because I just absorbed it through the culture, because it's referenced so many times that I know everything that happens. So I just never got around to watching it.
Well, when did you get around to watching it then?
Probably never. I kind of gave up watching movies.
Fair enough. Read the
I
novelizations.
was watching it a while ago on Disney Plus, and then for some reason I just like turned it off like in the middle of it, and I for some reason I just never revisited it. I've been meaning to revisit it ever since, and I just haven't.
What a lot of people do is that they watch it in the wrong order. I
think
was
I was
talking to
watching New
somebody
Hope.
once, and they'd never seen Star Wars either, and I said, like just go and watch it, and they watched it from episode 1 through till 8, which was because 9 wasn't out at that point. And I said, why did you do that? Why did you watch from 1 to 8? Like, you're not supposed. That's not the order you're supposed to watch it in. You're supposed to watch it from 4 to 6, and then 1 to 3, and then if you really hate yourself, you watch 7 to 9. And this guy was like, "Well, I think I would understand the story better if I watched it from 1 to 6." And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, you mean the people in 1977 didn't understand? Like, people in 1983 didn't understand the original trilogy because they because they hadn't seen the prequel trilogy.
You know what I always heard about the Star Wars, the original trilogy, and maybe you can help me out. Maybe you know better than I do. The thing that I always heard about it is that the original script that George Lucas put together was like incomprehensible, and his wife kind of cleaned everything up and fixed it. I don't know how true.
Yeah, apparently it was saved in the edit. Yeah, it was saved in the edit. But what also happened was that like some of the production was really stalled because nothing like the movie had ever been done before. So a lot of the people working on it had like they were sort of they didn't really know what they were doing. Like there had never been like a really really good like space dogfight, in not with dogs, but with fighter jets.
Oh man, that would be awesome though.
Space dogs fighting each other would be pretty cool.
As long as they're not furries.
Yeah, that would be a good idea for a book. Yeah, so like he was all the special effects guys had made. I think they'd made 18 seconds of footage while he was in England filming, and he came back and he was like, "Why have you only done 18 seconds of footage, stop motion? With the stop motion models and stuff like that." And they were like, "Well, we don't know what to do." So George Lucas went and got like a bunch of World War II movies, and he clipped together in like a sizzle reel all of some of the dogfights from World War II movies. And now if you line them up next to each other, you can see that they're basically like for like almost, with the Dam Busters and some other World War II plane fighter movies.
I think what we've done here is we've basically proven that writers are damn near worthless. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, the editor fixed Star Wars. John Williams composed a soundtrack. Practical effects people did the practical effects. What did George Lucas do again?
Well, no. George, like the practical effects, like they all came from his imagination. Like he said, "This is what I want them to look like. This is what this is this is the aesthetic I'm going for. I want the aliens to look like this. I want them to look like that." Because he'd read a lot of science fiction serials, and he'd quite clearly just finished reading Dune when he started making the movie.
Oh yeah, Dune is another good Star Wars movie.
But he's the original trilogy, in my point of view, is a masterpiece of storytelling. But the it is a team effort. but he was a visionary, and he had an idea of what he wanted, and he went out and did it, and it took the world by storm. So fair play to him.
Arrogant Ape says, I think the Death Star run is based somewhat off of the chariot scene in Ben-Hur. You can pull out a lot of scenes in the all Star Wars that threw me off. In all the Star Wars movies and compare them to the inspiration.
I think the pod race was based on Ben-Hur.
What is Ben-Hur?
From episode 1, if I'm not mistaken. And
Ben-Hur is a Star Wars movie.
Oh, okay.
Aardvark, let me ask you this. Obviously, George Lucas is somebody who's inspired by tons of things like old pulp serials.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific work that kind of drove Aquila?
There's not one specific, but
I'm the same way. But
there isn't like an eclectic mix of all the different, not all of them, but many of the different things that I grew up loving.
Sorry.
I've never seen Willow, so I can't.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Every time somebody mentions Willow, which by the way is an awesome movie, it's back before Val Kilmer became a lunatic. I think it has Warwick Davis in it, and it makes me think of that meme about kicking Warwick Davis in the head, and that just for some reason makes me laugh every time I think about it.
Right. I disavow all violence.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Flash Gordon earlier. I've not watched any Flash Gordon stuff, but you can it gives like the same vibe as what I've seen, like the small clips I've seen of character designs from that. Aquila, I think, does.
Yeah, so the things I'm not comparing myself to George Lucas, but I kind of am. The things that he was inspired by were like the things that he grew up watching. So cowboy movies, samurai movies, and science fiction serials. Those were his big inspirations for Star Wars. For me, when I grew up, I was influenced by some of the media from this country in East Asia that
Weebery.
Yeah. But also, you've probably gathered I was a huge Star Wars fan growing up. So that played a big influence in me. Science fiction in general, really. And but I love tokusatsu, which is like it's a very uniquely Japanese art form where it's people wearing rubber suits and spandex costumes and
I do that on Friday night.
Yeah. Like I grew up watching Power Rangers, so that kind of visually always stuck with me. And I love science fiction and fantasy and all those kinds of things. And so there's no one thing that inspired Aquila. It's more of a kind of hodgepodge of a dozen or so things that I grew up loving.
Well, we are going to shut things down because Lord Crackhead is about to start. But before we go, I just want to check in with Clive and see how, he kind of helps us give feedback on how the show went. Clive, how did the show go tonight?
It just fucking sucks. It fucking sucks.
All right. Thanks as always, Clive. Aardvark, I appreciate you coming on. Sorry we had to mess with you in such a way.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I played along.
You guys have a good week. Hail to the chat. Hail Mo Biggs. Hail everybody out there. And we will see you next week.